Hello and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. The World Cup is just around the corner. Only a few days to go now until the biggest tournament on planet Earth when it comes to football. Today will be the final of the World Cup previews, coming to you courtesy of the OneFootball app, which you can of course find in the description down below. It really is the only app you will need during the World Cup for all of the stats, all of the up-to-date information, and like I said, you can find that down below. This is the World Cup guide, 8 YouTubers, 8 groups, every team covered, and today it's the turn of Morocco. And like I say, Morocco, the final team that I will be covering before the World Cup starts. Videos during the World Cup will also be coming your way, but Portugal, Spain and Iran have all been covered so far. Now it's the turn of Morocco, and just like Iran really, I did enjoy this one. I enjoyed looking more into them, I enjoyed the research, and even if you guys think you might not be interested, it is fun to learn about Morocco, what they'll be bringing to this World Cup, and most importantly, they could potentially here cause a shock. They could upset the big boys. Spain and Portugal are expected to go through, but Iran and Morocco are not going to be easy customers. Today we're going to be looking into exactly why, and I really do hope that my Moroccan viewers do enjoy this one. Let's do this. So like I said there, Morocco appearing in their first World Cup in 20 years this summer. It has been a long time coming. Their last appearance coming way back in 1998. That was in France when the World Cup was held there, and they exited in the competition there in the group stage, despite winning and drawing 2 out of their 3 games. So they only lost 1 game there, but out in the group stage. And in fact, they've only ever managed to progress in their group at the World Cup on 1 single occasion. That was back in Mexico in 1986. They reached the last 16 stage then, only to be eliminated by West Germany, who did go deep in that tournament. And certainly this time around with Morocco, things haven't gotten any easier. They're not coming into this World Cup expecting to really go deep in the draw. Obviously, getting out of their group would be an incredible achievement. And going into this, there's just a few little murmurings, just like there was with Iran, that maybe Morocco could cause a big shock. They've got Spain there, they've got Portugal there. It's going to be very difficult to get out of it. But if they could cause some big results in that group, particularly the game against Portugal, and if they can beat Iran, it is on for Morocco, and there is a slight chance. So as with the other previews, guys, we are going to be looking at Morocco's road to Russia, their style of play, their coach, and their key players. We're at the end looking into those fixtures in a bit more detail and seeing where those points could come from. But if we just look at their road to Russia, first of all, Morocco evading the Ivory Coast. They were in the same section of the draw in African qualifying, who are an experienced side, especially in World Cups. They do often get to this stage, but Morocco did very well there in a period, I think, where we saw really what Morocco were trying to do, and certainly what their coach is trying to implement in their team. And looking at the way they started the campaign, that tells you a lot. They started, actually, with 3 out of their first 4 matches were all 0-0 draws. They didn't score a single goal, but they also, more importantly, didn't concede one. Clearly, Hervé Renard, who's their coach, was building a platform. He was trying to build from the back, from that very solid structure, and then becoming more expansive. And that's what we saw with Morocco. They started their qualifying very rigid, very disciplined, probably in some ways maybe a bit negative in the way they were playing, but as it went on, they improved. Their attack improved. They started the transitions becoming from really quick from defence to attack, really lightning quick counter-attacks, and it was really the highlight of their qualification was a 6-0 demolition, and it really was a capitulation really from Mali. It was back in September, 6-0 the scoreline, and Hakim Ziyech was absolutely instrumental. I was reading about that game. Apparently that performance from Ziyech was arguably the best performance of any African player right throughout qualifying. It was that good, and we are going to be coming on to Ziyech later on when we talk about those key players that could potentially get Morocco over the line. But like I said, they improved as it went on. They secured their qualification against Gabon. That was in their penultimate game, and that gave them the fantastic return to the World Cup that they've been trying to achieve now for 20 years. This country has been captivated by their return, and can they now make that next step? But just like I alluded to there, with Morocco, it is about that style, just like I spoke about Iran, and there are so many similarities between Iran and Morocco in the way they go about it, the way they all come together, and that kind of gives me a sense of it could be possible. Obviously, the likely scenario is Portugal and Spain are going to progress from Group B. That's what everybody thinks will happen. 2 established teams, lots of international players players on the big stage, they're expected to perform. But at the same time, the likes of Morocco, they're Iran, they're going to be difficult to break down, they're going to be difficult to play against, and it is not going to be an easy time for both Portugal and Spain coming up against these sides. Two big underdogs, they share many of the same characteristics when it comes to grinding out those results, and sometimes it could happen all against the odds. And we mentioned that they came through qualifying without conceding a single goal in that big first period. They had really good defensive results, very, very impressive right throughout their team in the way they structured the defence, and they do defend very, very well and as a team. If you had to pick out one player from that back line, there's a few of them there who are key players for Morocco, but if it had to be one, it would be Mehdi Benatia, somebody that we all know now he's at Juventus, and he's had a good season at Juventus as well. He's come through, and he's actually showing now some of the form that we expected when he first went to Bayern. Very good defender, good on the ball as well, and very much a leader, a man that has been a captain for Morocco, and he does lead by example, leads the back line, and does it very, very well indeed. He's 30 years old now, and he's somebody who can handle that pressure. Very experienced both for his club and his country, and in Russia, Morocco are going to need those players to really drag them through and get them over the line and getting some of these results. But a lot of the time it's said about these defensive teams, is it going to be enough? And it's much like Iran in that case. They're very good defensively, they will keep out goals, they will be difficult to beat, difficult to break down, but at the end of the day, to get out of your group against these kind of teams, against Spain, against Portugal, they are going to pick up points. You are going to need to do something in terms of attack. You are going to need to give them something going forward and a little bit in terms of getting those goals. And you feel like Morocco will need to do a bit more than just sitting deep. They will need to go out, be a bit braver, and it's whether they can do that. And that is where it comes on to Hakim Ziyech, those players that can give them a spark, give them a bit of energy going forward, and certainly provide that one moment of magic in the final third, and that rests on Hakim Ziyech's shoulders. One of their best players, arguably the best player, the key player for them in attack, and certainly the creative man from Ajax, who has been sensational this season. And not only this season, the past few years, he's been going under the radar in the Eredivisie, he's been performing very, very well on a consistent basis, and this season, he has been absolutely brilliant. A strong showing in Russia for me, for Ziyech, on the back of a really good season in Holland. That could put him firmly in the shop window for some of Europe's biggest clubs. A lot of clubs are looking for a player who can score goals, who can create goals. Everybody wants that kind of guy, and Ziyech can certainly do that. Very, very good this season, like I say, 9 goals in 34 appearances, but more impressively, the assists. 14 assists for him in Holland this season, and like I say, very, very crucial in that final third. And Morocco are going to need him. They are going to need somebody to link that defence into the midfield, and then midfield to the final third, and try and get those goals in attack. And all of this, of course, while Ziyech is in that midfield role. Somebody who's very comfortable on the ball, he can take it on, he can hopefully get them out, because that's what Morocco are going to do. They're going to be very deep, they're going to be very firm, but they're going to need somebody to take on that responsibility, take the ball, get them out of danger, give them a bit of relief. And Ziyech, I think, could certainly be that man. But could he be the man to spearhead an unlikely triumph here in that Group B? And that is what needs to be decided now when we look at their fixtures. And this is when, for me, it does start the tick over for Morocco. It really, really does. They kick off their return to the World Cup this Friday. This Friday, they will be taking on Iran in the World Cup's 3rd game of the tournament. And that straight away there is make or break for both teams. Both sides going into that game will know winning this match would be absolutely colossal. But you know that I spoke about Iran quite a few videos ago now. And as I mentioned earlier on in this video, very similar teams. And I think this is all going to be about who can actually get that goal. I would not expect many goals in this game. It's going to be two very resolute teams. Neither team will be used to having too much of the ball. And I think whoever can convert their chances in this game will be a massive winner. And if we do happen to get a winner, that team would take a massive step forward in potentially causing an upset in this group. I think a draw for either team here doesn't do an awful lot. I think a draw would end the hope for both teams. But if we get a winner, that team then would take enormous courage going into their next game. And for Morocco, 5 days later, they will face Portugal. And if they beat Iran, this is absolutely massive, because that's what they do. If they can beat Iran, they can come into this game, they can sit deep, they can stay compact, they don't have to go and look for anything. All they've got to do to say is, Portugal, come and beat us. And if they can't, if they can take a point off Portugal, they have got a massive chance here in getting out of their group. Because when you come onto that last game against Spain, Spain potentially by this stage, if they've racked up 2 wins, if they've beaten Portugal in their opening game, then they've beaten Iran, Spain at this point are pretty much qualified. And there really could become a point here by maybe Spain thinking a point isn't too bad. Morocco, a point would get them through if they beat Iran, if they draw with Portugal, if Spain have recorded 2 wins. That could be a very, very interesting interesting final game there. Morocco will believe if they get to that point, they could do the impossible. And like I say, I would not rule anything out in this group. I would not rule out anything in this World Cup. I think Iran could cause a shock. I think Morocco could cause a shock. I think Portugal on their day can do something. And Spain, of course, favourites, or one of the favourites at least, to lift the entire trophy. But in this World Cup, anything could happen. Anybody can take the occasion by the scruff of their neck and get them over the line. You've just got to come to the big stage, perform, handle that pressure, and be brave. Because it really is here in Russia. Everything to play for. So leave your thoughts down below, guys, on Morocco and their chances of potentially progressing from Group B. Let me know your thoughts on the World Cup as a whole, and of course, when it does start, I'll be back here with more videos. Right now I'm on holiday, so apologies for the little bit of lack of quality in the sound. There will be more videos on Barcelona, of course, coming up soon, but a lot right now isn't happening. So when there's something to bring you, I will certainly do that. But until then, as always, it is the World Cup.